Welcome back to Movie Recap Zone. Today, I'm going to explain a romantic, thriller film from 2015 titled, Careful What You Wish For. Spoilers ahead, watch out and enjoy. The movie begins and we see a shot of people enjoying on the beach. Doug, our main protagonist of the film, comes by the sea. A stunning view of the beach greets him as he looks up. Doug resides with his parents in his home that is close to a port where several boats are packed. Doug meets up with his best friend Carson, who informs him about the women that have arrived here, and that the situation is ridiculous, and how simple it is for him to find love. The crowd enjoys the two as they begin to play guitar with the band. Later, when Doug comes home, he discovers that no one is there. He then climbs the stairs to his room, where he notices that a new couple has moved in after looking out the window. Doug is mesmerized by the wife's attractiveness. Doug keeps staring at her, but unexpectedly, she glances up, startling Doug, who then redirects his attention away from the window. Later, the two friends share their innermost thoughts as Carson informs him that this is a wonderful place to spend their summer. As he gets home, Doug receives a call from his father, inviting him to meet the new neighbors. Doug's expertise with boats can be revealed to the wife's husband, Elliot. He extends an invitation for him to come see his boat, and hires him as well because it will pay him significantly more than just mowing lawns. The following day, when Doug goes to look at the boat, he notices Lena returning from a swim. He's still observing her when Elliot unexpectedly enters and inquires about the boat. Doug informs him that the damage is mainly cosmetic, and Elliot lets him know that he might be leaving for a while. Doug agrees to a payment of $12, but Elliot claims he would have given him $20. Later, Doug is still peering out of his windows, hoping to catch Lena. Doug looks aside when Elliot enters the room abruptly and tries to force himself on his wife. The following day, Elliot drives to the waterfront and is stopped by a guard who instructs him to confirm his identity. Doug informs Elliot that the guard is somewhat strict when he arrives to speak with him. In response, Elliot simply says, "I like it better this way." While the two are standing on his boat, Doug asks Elliot how he gets all of these items. Elliot replies that it was all made possible by his wealth and good looks. Doug hears a scream again the following day. Lena, who is frightened by a spider, is waiting by the car when he rushes outside to check on her. In any case, the car was also broken. He eliminates the spider and fixes Lena's automobile. Doug walks away as things start to get heated when Lena tries to approach him. He informs his friend about this encounter, who advises him to keep a distance with Elliot because he doesn't appear to be the type of person Doug would want to mess with. Doug encounters Lena as she is relaxing on her porch on his way back home. She explains that she has locked herself out of the house and needs his assistance to get back in. She then pleaded with him to keep their conversation private, because Elliot had told her to take care of herself. Lena requests that he take a rock, shatter the back window, and enter the house so that he may open the door from inside. But all of a sudden it starts to pour rain. The two starts talking. She mentions that he has a cut. She begins to clean while enticing him to stay. Doug kisses her, and the two begin to make out, and the game turns out to be enjoyable for them. The following morning, Lena tells him that he was good last night, and Doug even smiled to himself as he thinking about the time he spent with Lena. He then goes to meet with his friend, who introduces him to a few women for him to make out with, but Doug ignores him. Over the next few days, Doug keeps staring at Lena and begins working out for her. He is working on the boat when Lena approaches him once more and says that her husband asked her to check on him. As soon as they are in the boat, Lena urges him to close the cover before she begins to make out with him. She begins kissing him again, and Doug plays another liquid out game as a result. That evening, while working at the bar, Doug notices Lena and her husband entering, which gives him a positive vibe for the evening. The following day, Elliot is looking over the boat that Doug is restoring. He informs him of an overlook and then gives him a speech on why he is being so difficult. He claims that Doug makes him think of himself and that he is doing his best. He also mentions that he is leaving town. Doug takes advantage of this by meeting Lena and inviting her over for a picnic on the bed. For him, Lena retrieves a phone. She warns him that Elliot is a neurotic man and that the phone will make it easier for them to communicate. When Lena and Doug race to the kitchen, the gardener notices them, which give them a bad feeling. Doug returns to the waterfront a while later and notices Elliot standing close to his boat. Elliot requests Doug to take the boat out to test its seaworthiness, but the engine suddenly crashes and Elliot enters inside the boat to investigate. Lena takes a moment to inform him that she is thinking of divorcing Elliot. Elliot exits and urges Doug to fix the boat. Later in the evening, Lena calls him while crying and claims that Elliot has beaten her and left on a business trip. But still, she refuses Doug's advice to call the police and instead decides to return home. Later, Lena, who is lying in the sun close to the beach, calls him. He accepts her invitation, and they wind up playing another round of liquid out game. That evening, Carson asks Doug about his recent activities and lets him know that he's been seeing someone, but Doug just ignores him. He then returns home and discovers Elliot has returned. Lena calls for him to arrive right away since she needs him. When Doug arrives at her house in a hurry, he finds that Lena smacked Elliot on the head with something after they got into a fight. Elliot is revealed to be dead, and Lena tries to get Doug's assistance. He tells her that they need to act normally, and Lena begs her to work something out. Lena warns Doug that any excuse won't hold water, so he suggests that they may make it out to be an accident. As a result, Doug devises a new strategy. He transports Elliot's body to his boat and tells Lena that she should inform the police that they got into an argument and Elliot fled the house. A security guard sees Doug as the boat is about to leave and addresses him as Mr. Harper. However, Doug pretends to be Elliot and moves the boat. In the morning, cops are on the scene of what appears to be an accident. He notices officers approaching Lena's residence, and Lena conversing with the police. On that night, Doug set fire to the boat with vodka and a cigarette after using a beam from the ship to inflict more damage to Doug's skull. Following that, Doug resumes his regular activities while making an effort to forget what happened earlier. Later, a woman is seen entering the town by car. She goes to the police station and informs them that the La Trust is treating the situation seriously. There is an investigation going on since Elliot had a sizable insurance fund that is now going to Lena. Lena is asked if she has slept with any other men. As the woman continues her inquiry, Lena responds that she hasn't had any extramarital affairs and stands up in response to the detective's questions. The guard from the waterfront informs the police that he may have a suspect from that evening. The insurance agent from earlier visits Lena's home to examine the crime scene. She finds the shattered window that Doug left the night he saw Lena for the first time. Later that evening, the agent visits Doug and inquires about the occasion of Lena's visit. Doug looks terrified and has already taken to police station to answer a few questions. The agent asks him about Elliot's relationship with Lena. The agent tries to push out Doug into revealing the information, but Doug's mother steps in and refuses to let the agent frame her son. Lena sends Doug an SMS asking him to meet her in the boatyard. Lena informs her that they would need to remain apart for a while. The investigator is back at Doug's house when he gets home. She informs him that she has to take his fingerprints and a mouth swab. Doug is interrogated by the agent after being placed in the police car, but he doesn't respond to the inquiries. Doug then tells his friend and parents about his predicament. In the meantime, the police identify a match in the agent's blood sample. Doug tries to show his innocence, but Lena, presumably, stops him every time. For example, a gardener who had seen Doug and Lena together. Lena ended up killing him also before the police can talk to him, but Doug manages to escape on his bike. But he doesn't know that the police are following him. Just as he reaches the spot, Lena tears her clothes and starts shouting to let her go. She tries to make it look like attempted rape. The police arrives right at the moment and arrests Doug. He tells the police that they know him and that he needs some time. So one policeman lets him go, and he rushes to Lena's house to get his hands on her cell phone. Lena exits, and the agent enters just as he is hunting for the phone. He claims that the phone contains complete evidence of his innocence. He gives the phone to the investigator. Doug notes the women's similar tattoos as they leave after the second woman. Doug discovers that the agent is actually Lena's partner and has been her sidekick from the start at that point. Everything he realizes now that he was just a pawn in this bigger game. As a final act of her love, she chooses to leave the cell phone, which has the necessary evidence of his innocence. After claiming Elliot's insurance money, the women are then seen taking off on a plane. Doug tells how he was eventually taken to prison, though only for a brief length of time and on lesser charges. Lena is still on the run, along with her companion. He wonders if she would repeat the entire process, possibly with another random guy. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button if you did, subscribe if you're new, and at last, I would say stay well, stay safe, thanks.